Yvette, are you on? Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Roxy. I can't hear you. Okay, can you hear me? I think you're muted or something, Roxy.
Hey guys, I'm gonna text Selena that we need 9:20 a.m. Can you guys go back into our caucus room?
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Is that from yesterday?
Hey, Selena. Oh, I'm gonna have to mute.
We are waiting on Craig, and we were just in the Zoom with him, so he should be here. He might be having a similar issue getting in, so let me check with him. Yvette, do you want to send him another email link? It might just be the ones that I've been sending him don't work.
Sure, I can send him the link.
Oh, hold on. All right, this is a test. Yeah, see? So you don't have the echo now, right?
Right, but I also can't hear you. I can hear you here, but not on the thing.
Well, hold on, let's see if, Selena, can you say something? We're just trying to test our audio here.
Yep, we could hear you and Sarah.
Here, see, so you'll just have to get the audio from my computer
Okay.
and what they're saying, so I'll turn it up.
Craig said he is logging on right now.
Okay, I think he's there.
Hey,
I'm here.
Yvette. Hey, Craig. Hey,
Hey.
Yvette. Chief Gardner's here in the CMO conference room that we're using with me, but I don't think she got the invitation, so she can't actually click it to show her face. But I mean, she's sitting right next to me, so if you can send it to her, great. Otherwise, we'll just proceed on. And then,
Okay.
Okay.
Sent.
All right, Craig, do you want me to pull up whichever article you want to talk about first?
Yeah, why don't we talk about Article 14 first?
Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second to pull it up. All right, can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Devin, first, we want to say that we were really pleased with the proposal that the city made yesterday. We think that you did a great job of meeting the substance of the needs that we were trying to address. What you have here is a proposed TA. And what I've done is I've made the changes that are from the current contract language to the, the language of your proposal. So in every place that you see here, I think that I've captured accurately the proposal, your proposal. And the only two, there was one place where I corrected a grammatical error. Other than that, the only two changes that we've made are highlighted in yellow. One is minor and the other is, this is the first one. I forget what your language was. Selena can probably tell us, but apparently we don't actually keep a drug log per se anymore. Everything's online. And so there's a controlled substance count that's maintained online. So we changed that to reflect the existing practice, but it wasn't meant or intended as a substantive change. I highlighted it anyway because we did remove the word drug law. Selena, you want to talk about that or?
Yeah, I think even when we had signed the agreement about testing for drug log drugs, we were still using a physical drug log, and that was actually where the whole thing arose from. But now it's all electronic. So, on my phone, I can pull up the software. You can pull it up on any computer. And so we don't have a physical drug log anymore. So we're just updating the language to keep up with current practice. But it substantively doesn't change anything. And we're just saying that it can't be reconciled since we don't have drug logs anymore.
And then Devin, if you'll keep scrolling down, so the, all these other changes are just the changes that I believe are in your proposal. And if I've made any mistakes, I did again correct a grammatical error. It was unintentional. This we've added, there's a lot in the article about departmental rules regarding drug and alcohol testing that have yet to be formulated. And we're suggesting the creation of an advisory committee to advise and it would have 2 members. You can have as many members as the chief wants, but it would have 2 members appointed by the association president. It's an advisory committee, and to ensure that, that there's not a feeling we're trying to usurp the chief's authority, we've got the language that the parties understand and agree the committee is advisory only, and the chief retains final authority to set department policies consistent with this article. So, we're not trying to take away the chief's authority to set departmental rules concerning how this is going to work, but knowing that there's a lot of gaps to be filled in here, we just kind of wanted a seat at the table when there's an initial consideration of that. So we're asking you to consider that. But that's the only real substantive change that we're making. Everything else we believe is the proposal that you made yesterday. Again, if it's not, it was any change was unintentional. But so we're proposing that as a TA. If obviously, if you want to talk about or change the advisory committee language, or you have concerns about that, let's talk about it. But that's the only real thing that we're asking you to consider doing more than what you proposed yesterday. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I mean, we'll talk to the chief about that and the drug log discrepancy thing, and then we'll also kind of just, but we probably won't have a response back today, but we'll go through and make sure kind of all the formatting and the changes from the current version are accurate from what because I know there's the original language now, there's what we proposed yesterday, and then there's this document. We just want to make sure, because like I told you last time, or I think Sarah told you, our council wants, at the end of the day, they want a red line from the existing contract to the new contract. I mean, that's how they wanted it in 17 and 18, and so that's how we're trying to prep all of our articles now, but we'll go through it. I think we understand which your changes will be.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've tried to do, Devin, and all of these TAs that I sent over. What I started with the 2018 contract that Sarah had provided me, and then I just compared it to the agreed proposal. Sometimes it was your proposal, like in Article 14, and the changes that are shown are not changes, from prior proposals in this round of negotiations, but changes from the 2018 contract language, so that when we get through, we can put all these TAs together and the council will be able to see exactly what it is that has been changed from the current contract.
So I appreciate your comments that the city, you were pleased and the city tried to meet you on these things. I want to keep that same positive energy during IBB next week when we talk about money. So, all right, what's the next article, Craig?
Why don't we just go in order? Let's go with 5 first.
Okay, hold on one second.
We're always positive when we talk about money. We positively like it. We want more of it.
Okay, sorry, I was on mute. I was cracking up there for a second. Okay, hold on. Here's Article 5.
I don't think I said anything humorous, but okay.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes. These are the agreed changes. We eliminated the references to CLEAT. We changed the name of the association. We included the formatting change a little bit. We divided it into various subparagraphs. That's section 1, and then section 2. We updated it, included the language that the city had requested. We eliminated some language and included others that the city wanted. And so I believe it is what we tentatively agreed to. I had provided you a TA that didn't show what the changes were. This TA does show the changes between this and the 2018 agreement. And obviously I expect y'all will, compare it to the proposals and make sure you agree before, but I think we have a TA on Article 5.
Okay.
Next one is 10.
Give me 1 second. All right, go ahead.
Okay, this really reflects the proposal that the city team made at the bargaining table yesterday. Again, it is formatted so as to show the changes that have been made to the 2018 agreement. So in section 2, requests for leave, we've agreed to your proposal that if we submit it 14 days in advance and we don't get a timely response, it's presumed granted. If we submit an untimely request, it's presumed denied, but the chief does retain authority to, pull back or rescind leave that's previously been granted as circumstances require. So all of that, I believe, is taken straight from your proposal. In section 4, we have changed the number of hours to reflect a higher number of hours and to reflect a new date. So I think and hope that this one likewise is ready for TA after you, verify.
Okay, I do want y'all to know, like, listen, we're moving past this issue for this round of negotiations, but I want it on the record for future ones that when you get more people, y'all do the math and say, well, that's this many more hours. We as a city are going to start counting the backfill time though too. Because every time you get somebody off, we have to backfill that person. And so we're letting it go for this one, but in the future ones, it's going to start getting, it's going to be put into the calculations about how many new hours you get, because unless you're picking somebody from staff that we can go without, which of course, we just never know who you're going to pick for ABL. We have to be cognizant of the backfill costs that are associated with ABL time. So But if the language is what we propose, then I don't think we're going to have an issue for this one. So give me 1 second and tell me what the next article is.
The next article, we've covered 14, so the next one would be 15.
And while you're pulling that up, we do build some redundancy in the schedule to cover sick call, vacations, and exception vacations. And so we kind of always assume that this was supposed to be built into the redundancy.
Okay, go ahead.
Protected rights of uniformed staff. As you scroll down again, I'm showing that this was already agreed to, and I think I'd already provided a TA, but she wanted it in legislative form, so I've done that. That first change there in that subsection C, the statement may be signed either physically or electronically. Y'all had agreed to that. That allows us not to have to drive in just to physically sign a statement. The big one, of course, is the disciplinary matrix, which is at the bottom of the proposal. And this again also reflects the language that we had previously agreed to establish a committee to come up with a disciplinary matrix that would be used in most cases, subject to the discretion of the chief to deviate.
Okay, so for the last couple, I understand you walked through the drug testing article and you gave us the two changes there and you walked through them. But for these last few articles, what you're saying, if I remember right, is essentially this is cleanup and this should be what the parties have already agreed to. We're just trying to make it in the right format.
That's right. Yeah, on like 5, 15, and 18, I think I had tried to give you TAs and you said, no, Craig, you have to work harder, put it in legislative format. So I did that. I want you to feel like I'm earning my keep. And the same with 18, which is the last one. This just reflects the additional events that you've agreed to define as special events. We've added a couple of COTA races, the ACL Festival and New Year's Eve. And then I believe there's a change further down as well. Yeah, this reflects your agreement to meet with us quarterly about this assignment change issue. And upon request of the association, in any situation where the chief has waived the advance notice requirement. So again, this is language that was in your last offer that we accepted, and it's put in this format just to show the changes from the 2018 language.
Okay. I think we got them.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we told you we would have a response on 16, but we'll have a verbal response on 16. But I need to talk to my team a little bit about one of the issues that just came into my head, and I just want to make sure I clear it with my team before we talk about it. So give us a chance to caucus. Unless you want to go through anything else, but I think these were all the articles you sent over.
They were.
Okay. All right.
Should we exit this meeting and just wait for a signal from you to get back on, or how do you want to handle it?
I'll text Selena.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I'm going to get off then, and we'll see you in a bit.
All righty.
Thanks.
All right, Craig, give us 1 second. Sarah's going to pull up a couple of articles up online. All right, Craig, I'll wait because I see Selena's not on yet. Just give you guys a couple more minutes.
Okay, what article are we looking at here?
8.
8.
8, okay. That's special leave.
Yeah, and I believe this is your last
Yeah.
proposal to us. Hey, Selena, are you on? I see a little, I see you're on, but I also see an X next to your name instead of the red dot that everyone else has. So,
I think I am on.
okay, perfect. All right. So oh, there you are. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about these 2 articles really quick because they both deal with sick leave. Okay.
Okay.
And it's just going to be a verbal. It's more to tell you our position. So on section 3 of Article 8 on the separation pay for sick leave, you know, this is not something that the city's really inclined to do, and we hope that you're not inclined to do it either, and here's why. We're trying to keep folks around. We're trying to encourage people to stay longer. We have built our financial calculations off of paying people for 12 years also, but moving past that, the general philosophy is we are trying to negotiate for career EMS professionals, and we hope you are too. And we're trying to incentivize people to stay longer, and you'll see that as part of our financial package when we get there. That we the city, and we hope you are too, trying to incentivize people to stay longer. I think to take away this provision, one, it goes against kind of why we put it in there in the first place, and some of the concessions we gave in exchange for it. But 2, I think it does both of us a disservice in our attempts to retain folks to stick around. So that's just verbally kind of where you'll see our counter when we get there. This is going to be part of our financial package when we get there after IBB. But I'm going to let Sarah also share 16.
You can share or not?
No, because you have to. Yeah, you have to actually X this thing. But I mean, you know, we don't have to actually see it. I think that y'all try to expand the times that we could use when someone is, I believe, on 16 indefinitely suspended. Yeah, it is up now. So payment for accrued leave upon indefinite suspension, you know, and you're trying to add in the sick time, and that's we think that what we have already, you know, I think with the exception vacation and the accrued vacation is a benefit to your members. I think that this sets a bad precedent and the wrong tone that we the city are trying to say. And one of the things, Selena, you talked about yesterday was, you know, it's not really supposed to be punitive. This is corrective, you know, the suspensions. Well, I think we agree with you on 14 days or less. But I think when we decide as a city, you need to be indefinitely suspended, I think at that point for the city, it's both corrective, but it is also punitive. Like we are saying we can no longer have you work for us. And for us to then turn around and enhance a benefit to those members. And keep in mind, there's not that many people that end up with indefinite suspensions. I just think it sets the wrong tone for the city. And, you know, that's also something we need to look across for the other two unions and also for our civilians. You know, our civilians don't get their sick time paid out when they're terminated. And it's just, I think it's what message are we sending as a city when we decide you've done something that is so egregious, we can't correct it. We need to ask you to leave and no longer work for us. But then we expand the benefits that we pay you. So, you know, I just think that's, you know, we don't have a written counter, but these two things were kind of linked in the sense that they both deal with sick time. But more importantly, more than the finances, more than all that stuff, there's a philosophy behind both of these things. And the first one is we're trying to encourage folks to stick around. And on this one, it's just a philosophy that I don't think the city's willing to expand the types of leave we pay out when someone is indefinitely suspended. So I just wanted to discuss that. And I know that that's not the best way to end the day, but we did tell you we would have a verbal back to you on 16, and that's at least, and I believe we didn't go through it yesterday in detail because we were working on other stuff. But I think that's the only real change y'all had in 16 compared to what we had discussed before. Hold on, Sarah's gone through it. So yeah, if that's the only change, then we just need you to know kind of where we're coming from. And, you know, we heard you when you said, look, you know, on the 3 days or less, or the suspension's under 14, the chief has the authority to, and you're right, you know, there is that. But on this last one.
The other is just the language on the. It's misused, but just that.
Okay, yeah, so we'll go back and look at that. So anyways, we will have counters to these after IBB. I think there's a lot of these that are up right now that are kind of pending the outcome of the IBB training, and so, or the IBB kind of more mediation than anything else. So, but I texted Selena this, Craig. We don't have anything else from our side for today, and we would, unless y'all have something, we would kind of greatly appreciate the next hour and a half to kind of prep for our meeting with the manager. And so unless y'all want to discuss another article or something, y'all are free to keep caucusing, but I think we are gonna sign off and work on that.
I don't think we have anything. If Selena agrees, you know, what I have, I probably will send you and Selena too a copy of my status sheet that just kind of is my unofficial understanding of where we at on these various things. And I've got 5 right now that are, you know, tentatively TA'd, and those are the 5 I gave you this morning. But of course, obviously that's subject to y'all's vetting on the correct wording and those 2 minor changes we made on the drug testing. But if you have a chance to give us any information or just let us know if we need to do more talking about those before we get to IBB, if we can get those out of the way, that'd be great. I mean, that leaves the big ticket items, wages, overtime, special leave, holidays, discipline. I think we're pretty close on, it sounds like. So those are the things that are really left as we start the IBB process.
Yeah, so I don't think we started until what, Tuesday? So we will try to have those reviewed and compared and contrasted, because they should not be substantive changes. They should just be kind of formatting changes, hopefully. And to that extent, we will do our best to get something back to you by end of Monday, just to make sure, like, hey, yeah, we're, these look fine or whatever. So on those 5, but I think for the most part, let's all assume that, that is the case, that we are. I think we have a little bit of an issue still on the drug testing on the advisory committee about the effective date, because if the effective date of the article is October 1, then, the advisory committee is probably not going to meet because the department will have already worked on those changes before that, but if the effective date, it's just logistics more than anything else. But fundamentally, I don't know if there's any real heartburn on our side. There's a couple things we still want to discuss with the chief, like the drug log discrepancy thing and the electronic versus the manual and all that stuff. But like I said, I don't think there was anything that gave us heartburn when he walked through it today. So.
Okay.
And Devin, just a few notes. So that's fine. I mean, if the team can verbally tell us that we might have some input until then, I mean, we don't want to sign anything not knowing what the policies are actually going to look like is only our intent. So as long as, even Chief Gardner just says that, we will work on these together. We won't do it without any association input, and ask y'all to sign, the TA before we even know what it looks like.
Right. Okay.
And then on the other components, so in Article 16, I think there was another change that I just wanted to highlight to make sure that y'all are aware of. But in the original article, it specifically only talked about alcohol for alternative discipline and looking at rehab type discipline. And so we had added to include substance misuse, which we incorporated everything that we had discussed in Article 14. So all of the CFRs and alcohol. Basically to allow rehab or other alternative disciplines for not just alcohol. So I just wanted to flag that so that y'all didn't think that there was only that one substantive change.
We saw that. We had.
Okay, yeah, we haven't discussed that, but okay, we
Okay.
saw it. So, okay.
And then the last thing, just real fast on your first point, we understand what you're saying about indefinite suspension. I think especially for us when we're talking about lowering the number of years from 12 down to nothing, or I mean, some other number. I think our biggest concern for the workforce is just that when people do choose to separate early, they just end up trying to exhaust their sick time while they're working. And so it creates a lot of unpredictability in the schedule. It causes more overtime on the other medics. It doesn't allow the department to adequately plan. And so it does punish our existing medics when we don't have something that's a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, I think that's a question I'm talking to the department about, but I think, I'll just tell you, from a management perspective, the answer to people burning their leave when they're not supposed to is not, let's just fix it by giving them the money up front. The answer is we should be more forceful in making sure people don't just burn it when they're not supposed to be on sick leave. I mean, and the financial side to it is, I'll just be upfront. This is going to have a cost, right? To say now we're going to pay everybody sick leave under 12 years, regardless of whether or not you got canned. I mean, basically, you're asking for the 143 language. You're essentially saying let's eliminate that section of the sick leave provision of the contract and just rely on 143, which is you get paid up to 90 days, regardless of if you got canned or not, regardless of if you only have 1 day in there or you have 90 days in there, you're going to get 90 days of sick leave. That's going to have a financial impact. Obviously I don't have authority yet, but I am focusing all of my energy and the resources that they're going to give me financially to give it into other places. I don't want it dinged by saying, well, if they want this, then that's going to come out of this pot, because I mean, let's be honest, there's going to be a finite amount of money that is there. And I'm trying to focus whatever money we have on base wage and on some of the other things you guys have asked for, not on, I don't want it taken away by, finance calculating out, well, if you go from 12 to 0, this is how much it costs. And, you need to deduct that from whatever authority you get. So,
yeah, we understand it's a whole package. I just want to, just describe why that is the reason for us changing that.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
So IBB starts 9 a.m. on next Tuesday?
Is it 9? Sam?
Yes, I made sure that Walter had all the contact information individually. So he will send out the actual invite as to the time.
Okay.
Okay, so we do
Ross?
think it's 9, but we'll just make sure.
Okay, we'll see you on Tuesday then.
All right, guys,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Have a good weekend.
How's that work? How's that gonna work, Missy?